Episode 7 of The Believers starts with the detective briefing his team and the police captains about his suspicion that Game, Deer, and Wynn are involved in the drug case or might be using the temple for money laundering. The police chief gives him the go-ahead as long as the case does not turn out like a previous case we do not know about. Meanwhile, Monk Dole's attachment to Deer turns intimate as he starts having dreams about them together. At the same time, Game delivers the payment to the lawyer, but he is unhappy that the amount is insufficient to cover the interest and the principal. The lawyer and his assistant rough him up and scare him with a water gun, but warn him that if he does not make up for the short in the next payment, the gun used will not be a water gun. Game runs into the police detective outside the lawyer's office, and he asks about his friends and mentions the Game tokens. Since he cannot get information out of him, Game intentionally bumps into his car and calls the insurance company so they can exchange ID card details. He confirms that the man is a police officer and texts Deer and Wynn, informing them they are in trouble. After he is done handling the insurance, Game gets a call from his sister asking him to rush home since their grandfather is sick. Meanwhile, Deer, Wynn, and Monk Dole have successfully collected the necessary sacred objects to make the amulets, and they are down to the last one. However, the abbot is unwilling to give them what they need as he frowns upon Monk Dole's decision to change his sect and tells Wynn and Deer that he does not trust their intentions. Suddenly, some temple boys walk up to Wynn and Deer in the car, trying to figure out where to find the sacred objects, and they tell them to take care of their monk. They freak out and worriedly run in the opposite direction to look for Dole. They find him beaten up and bruised because he went to try and talk to the abbot again, and the temple boys jumped him. Deer takes a first aid kit from the car and gives it to Wynn to help disinfect the wounds since Dole does not want to go to the hospital. Wynn has no idea what to do, and Deer decodes to do it herself. Like the slow wind blowing around them, the feeling of Deer being so close to him gives Monk Dole chills. Game arrives home to check up on his grandfather and is unhappy that he wants to be cared for at home by his sister, who also cares for her infant. He tries to borrow money from his father to offset the loan balance, but he says he does not have 10 million baht to loan him. He gets angry and wonders why his uncle's family keeps prospering, but they stay poor while working hard to care for their family business. Wynn and Deer return to the temple, and Game awaits them. He tries to tell them about the police following him around and the threats from the creditor, but they do not seem to take his worries seriously, which builds up conflict among them. The sacred objects are delivered to the temple, but the sales are not as Wynn had predicted. The situation worsens when the creditors threaten Game's family, and he starts to lose his trust in Wynn since only the police and the creditors are targeting his family. Wynn tries to convince Game to trust him again because he has a way to make them more money before the due date for the next payment. The two get into a huge fight, blaming each other for their problems. Game says he is tired of cleaning their messes, while Wynn blames him for creating the Game tokens and binging in the creditor who got them into trouble. They both disagree on the way forward, so Wynn decides to handle the situation by ordering 100,000 more amulet pieces from the factory, while Game says he will ask an amulet expert to help them sell the sacred objects. They storm out of the office and do not speak to each other for days. Deer meets up with her friend, who is helping to plan the interior design of her wedding hall. She is pleased by her designs and offers to introduce her to a client who needs help with the interior design of his clinic. Suddenly, she gets a text from Wynn asking to meet up at some place where he is pretending to be a press and interviewing rescue workers. Wynn has been going around with the rescue team and taking footage that he plans to use to boost the sale of the amulets, and he did not tell Deer about his plan because it is dangerous. The rescue center gets a call about a serious accident involving a bus and a pickup truck. The drive to the location is slow for the ambulances and the rescue vans because of the heavy downpour, but Deer impresses us with her exceptional driving skills as she races before all the ambulances and arrives first at the scene. The accident is serious as there are bodies scattered on the road, hanging from the bus windows, and the injured are stuck inside the bus while others are lying outside in the pouring rain. Wynn plans to find a victim of a gruesome accident, save him, and then give him the amulet to make him believe that the amulet played a part in his survival. They decide to go with the case of the pickup driver who manages to survive because they find him in time to alert the rescue team to get him out of the car. Deer pushes the truck into the water, and they follow him to the hospital. However, they plan to pay him $200,000 in exchange for saying he survived because their amulet backfires since he cannot move his legs. He is angry and scared, and he chases them out of his hospital room. After they leave, a nurse finds the amulet on the floor and places it on his bedside table. At the end of the episode, Game is at home caring for his grandfather and watching news about the case. Deer looks lost in thoughts in her car while Wynn stares blankly at his trading screen as if hoping for a miracle to happen. In a twist that might change everything in the next episode, the truck driver regains motion in his legs, and he can wiggle his toes. The episode review. The episode introduces conflict among the main leads, creating an opportunity for character development and adding tension and anxiety while driving the plot forward. By the end of the episode, the audience is more engaged in the story and eager to find out how they managed to get through the crisis. Since the dream, Monk Dole has been avoiding Deer. Will he confess his feelings or escape them? In the upcoming episode, the entrepreneurs will likely get over the business slump because the amulet sales will skyrocket after the truck driver tells his story. The only question is whether the police will catch up on what is happening in the temple and what type of business game Wynn and Deer are running.